Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie Tolhurst, and welcome to the Charlie Tolhurst Show for today, the 8th of August, second one of the month. Lots to talk about tonight, and we're going to get straight on with the news right now. I'm joined by Labour Party supporter Zach Chambers to round up all the latest news. Hello, Zach.
Hi, hello.
Now, Zach, we're going to start off with a digest tonight, as always. On the Charlie Tolhurst Show, the digest is the part of the show where we digest all the latest news stories from the past week and some of the biggest news. And this week has been a big news for COVID-19 vaccinations because, as you would have seen, the JCVI have actually changed the guidance up and recommended that if you are 16 or 17 years old, you should be given the vaccine. Zach, what do you make of this news? Because many people have actually been divided on this.
Well, I say it's good news. I support that this change of advice that's come in. I think as well, there's clear evidence that in America they're doing 12 to 15, 16 and over as well. So clear evidence that it works for kids. They want to get children. Obviously, they think children are the sources of vaccine virus spreaders. I think it makes sense, obviously, to do it. Really, I think, Charlie, and children are the most likely to spread the virus around. They're not going to get sick, but I suppose that vaccinating the children is one way of reducing the spread once everyone gets back to school and college. So I agree with it. I agree with it, Charlie. And I welcome it. I know originally the plan was to anyone under 18 would only be vaccinated if they're 3 months towards 18 and those living with the clinically vulnerable. I think obviously it's clear to me, Charlie, that they've seen the data and the evidence, the scientific evidence, to the point where the 16, 17-year-olds are safe to get vaccinated.
I have to say, Zach, I'm a little bit concerned about the move that they've done, but I understand that the new variant thing about some scientists said during the week that kids should be vaccinated because it stops these new variants spreading, like what we're seeing, of course, in America with the Delta variant spreading, the Indian strain. I have to say, though, if I had kids younger than this age, I wouldn't vaccinate them. And I echo the comments made by Neil Oliver the other night on GB News, that I have to say, I think it should be personal choice whether to kids to get the vaccine. That is my view on this. But everyone has their view. It has been recommended that you get the vaccine. Obviously, if you watched the briefing the other night, Zach, with Jonathan Van Tam and someone else, I forgot their names.
Yes, two others, yeah.
Jonathan Van Tam was the Deputy Chief Medical Officer for England. He was presenting some data about the vaccine on children. What did you find from that data he presented during the week?
I think the data supports the decision they're making. Clearly, I don't think they would have been showing it without the evidence that they got. I don't think they would have made a decision, Charlie. I think they've made the right decision. I think you just prove it in America, where 12, 15-year-olds are getting vaccinated. It seems to be safe and working effectively. So 16, 17-year-olds should be fine as well. I mean, it's that in America. Normally, originally it was down to those aged 16 and up and over. So there's clearly evidence that it worked in kids, 16 and 17 beforehand. It's just a case of, when they would finally introduce recommendation to those getting vaccinated. I should also point out, Charlie, there's a little bit difference with the strategy here, because they're only recommending one jab at the moment. And then they're most likely going to do a second dose for 16, 17-year-olds. I think they're just waiting for the data to come in, more data to prove that it will be fine. But nevertheless, Charlie, it works clearly, and the data suggests it. I mean, in America, the 12 to 15-year-olds are going to be vaccinated. Under 12 looks like they're going to be allowed to be vaccinated soon. Probably, I don't know when. It's obviously not going to be the start of the school season, which is just about to start there. So yeah, and they're all going in masks, unfortunately. Unfortunate, but the reason why, because they haven't been vaccinated. So, yeah. I think there's clear evidence that vaccine do work, and they got the data to prove that.
Yeah, just to confirm, the vaccines these children are going to be using, it's only the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, because Moderna haven't actually done, and Moderna as well. Interesting. The AstraZeneca.
They'll be given. They said Pfizer or Moderna. That's been the case for most under 40s anyway, Charlie. That Pfizer and Moderna are offered. I know it's the Pfizer one in America that they've tailored towards kids a little bit more. They said, when I heard Van Tam in the press conference, he kind of indicated it'd be Pfizer and Moderna that they would that can be offered to 16 and overs. So yeah, that's the situation.
Interesting. I have to say, I mean, it's just again, I have to say again, it's interesting why they've done this, but I mean that again, the Pfizer vaccine is what I was told by what I read up on the newspaper article once, that they said they're targeting kids in America. They're clearly going with the Pfizer vaccine. I haven't seen the Moderna one in tests. I do think these vaccines should be clinically tested. There should be more data out to try and vaccinate kids, because I think at the moment the data is a little bit weak, I think, for under 12s. We'll just have to wait and see. But let's play. Yeah. We're going to play for you now a video of what Jonathan Van Tam had to say during the press conference about in favour of being vaccinated for children over 16s. Have a listen to this.
Yes, so your question to me, Emily, was about 16 to 17-year-olds. So I have one child who's an adult. I have two children who are younger than 16 and 17. However, I would be very much in favour, based upon the adjudication of JCVI, if they were 16 or 17, for them to be vaccinated initially with that first dose, as JCVI has said. All of the adults in my known family group have had all of the COVID vaccines that they are eligible for. I'm a strong believer that these vaccines are safe and effective. I'm a strong believer that they are changing how we can learn to live in a much more normal way with COVID-19 for the foreseeable future.
Thank you there to Jonathan Van Tam, Deputy Chief Medical Officer for England, on the latest there for the new vaccine recommendations for children aged 16 and over. There was actually a few Twitter pics I saw today of a kid getting a vaccine. It was actually a boy, I think, that received his first dose. He looked kind of happy. I kind of not want to, I don't really want to kind of get these images up for you, but yeah, it's very interesting. But yeah, that's all the news on the vaccinating children. We're going to move on now from vaccinating children to another big news now that is in the press, and that is the migrant crisis, because unfortunately, Zach, record numbers of migrants have crossed the channel this week. I think it was over 400 that have crossed in the middle of last week alone. The number is now much higher than 2020. It's clear, Zach, that summer is presenting a big problem for Border Force in the channel.
Yeah, big numbers this week, Charlie, in terms of the amount of immigrants coming to the country as well. There's, they've been breaking records, really, to be fair, in terms of getting here as well. So yeah, those at the Dover border crossing, it's 400. You said, Charlie, as well. So yeah, big numbers. Let me just. There was a couple of weeks. There was about 200, but yeah, there's big numbers, Charlie. Big numbers in terms of the amount of immigrants. It's already past 2020, I believe, in terms of
yes, massive. And it's just they're doubling. Yeah. It just doubled from last week. What is happening in the channel? It's just they're not. I feel like Priti Patel is just not controlling this issue at all. They're clearly the French sending these people across and not trying to stop them. This is what's causing the problems. We need to. We're going to turn these people away anyway, no matter what. But we don't seem to be doing that, and I find that quite annoying, really.
Yeah. So 4 days ago, it was 281 people that reached the was trying to get to the crossing on Tuesday. So 9,700 so far this year trying to get across the crossing. That's a lot. But you know, that's the situation. Whether this new immigration bill that's coming in helps that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Charlie, to be fair. But yeah, they're going to pass 10,000 at one point, I believe, as well. When we get to the end of this, probably end of August, something like that, I guess. So yeah, immigration going highly up the ranks, and clearly a big issue for the government. They still failed to tackle one, I think, Charlie.
I have to say, I have to agree with you, because it's just they're not doing anything at all. Where's the resources? Where's the funding for this? They need to just get out there, because I feel like France, a lot of the time we're blaming France. France is clearly importing a lot of these migrants over, and it's clear that when you look at what's the scenes of border force bringing these people across, like in a taxi service, it's problematic. It's really crazy. We are scattering them across the country, and it's like what's happened in America with the border crisis that Joe Biden has always, should I say, been faltering on. But we have to accept that this crisis in the UK is heading in the wrong direction. And I have to say, I reckon the numbers this year could be well in excess of 20,000 the way we're going at the moment. The numbers are getting higher. That's a prediction that I'm going to make. If it does happen, I will be shocked. But yes, we need to tighten the asylum rules immediately. So that's my second part of the digest today. My third part of the digest is interestingly a showbiz story, because this story has been quite across the news lately, and that is Ant McPartlin. Now, a couple of years ago, Ant McPartlin was arrested on the suspicion of drink driving, and one person was taken to hospital with serious injuries. However, though, he has found a new wife and he's now been married. Zach, what do you make of his marriage? Do you think his new wife, Anne-Marie McPartlin, has saved his career?
I think his career was saved before that, I think, when he returned, really. I mean, you know, we all thought the partnership was over when he had that drink driving accident. And he was obviously went to go to rehab and everything like that because he was drinking his way through, and clearly he had a drinking problem. But I think now he's recovered. It's almost like the partnership's never broken. And now, obviously, he's got married again. He's on. They're still at their best. They're not going to decline in quality anytime soon, which is so great to see. It really is. And they're going from strength to strength, and especially Ant McPartlin has now got married again this week. Just many congratulations to him. He's one of Britain's finest duos, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. I wish him every happy success.
I do as well. And of course, I'm a Celebrity returns to Wales this year as well, where we're expecting Ant and Dec to be fronting the show as always. We're going to keep you updated with I'm a Celebrity, actually, because there could be some big celebrity announcements very soon. And we will have a showbiz update coming very soon as well that I'm going to be doing on my show, where we're going to talk about some big showbiz news. Of course, we know the X Factor, sadly, is no longer going to be happening at the moment. So we'll keep you updated with all that. But yes, Ant McPartlin, I just want to say congratulations on getting married. And I really hope that you have a very successful partnership with your new wife. I really am glad for you, as always. But we're going to move on now from the digest to sports round, because today was the final day of the Olympic Games, and we're also going to present a little highlights package as well of what our best moments are of the Games. I want to start with my highlight of the Olympics, which has to be Tom Daley winning gold in the men's 10-metre synchro platform. And I have to say that was my highlight of the Games. What's been your highlights of the Olympics with the Team GB?
I have to say, the last couple of days, I think, has been the track cycling. Laura Kenny getting sorry, the other one, Kelly. The other Kelly. The other one, I can't remember her name.
We've lost them. Sorry, having some technical issues there. I do apologise.
Excellent news, Charlie. Are you right? You're right.
Yeah, we're back now. Kelly, sorry, apologies. I had a bit of a malfunction there, but we're back.
Jason Kenny, yeah. Getting 7th gold. Doing great job there. He's become the most decorated Olympian. 9 gold medals, and he literally got his 7th gold today, which is great. Just yesterday. Sorry, just a brilliant job overall. It's a shame about Laura Kenny. His other half, who ended up crashing out. Rather big accident, I have to say, Charlie. But certainly one of the highlights of the Games. As well, the sailing, I think we did work. We won gold there. Brilliant job on that. Just great bit of the stuff there. As well. Let's also look at other highlights as well. There's also a Welshman, Lauren Price, I think, as well, got gold in the boxing. The woman's got boxing. Great job by her. I honestly. And there's also Katie French in the pentathlon, who got gold as well. Absolutely fantastic job there. And the other one, I think, as well. Let me say. Let me go down and find it. Max Whitlock.
I have to say, Joe Chong as well in the men's modern pentathlon, winning gold for us as well.
Max Whitlock as well, getting gold, and I saw he returned. To a very familiar place, didn't he? He turned to that Basildon Training Centre, I saw, Charlie, as well. Local boy he is. So it's good to see him around. Obviously, from what I saw, I saw the pictures and everything like that as well. But great to see that as well. Let's just see the BMX. Charlotte Worthington, won gold as well. The BMX was amazing. I love watching the BMX. It was just so fun to watch as well. What also as well did I enjoy is my highlights as well. I think the climbing. It was the first time I think we saw the climbing in Olympic Games. I genuinely enjoyed that.
The speed climbing. The speed climbing.
It genuinely was such. Honestly, it's so fast and fun and quick action to watch. It's over in a flash. If you're out in the toilet or something, you barely watch the race. If you go to the toilet and back, you missed everything. So it was a joy to watch. It was exciting. It was fun. It was thrilling. That was one of my highlights as well for me. Obviously, Tom Daley as well, as you said, getting gold in the synchronized diving. Tom also getting a bronze individual as well. Great job by him. And I think we finished at the end of the day. Let me see where we are at the end of the competition. We finished in 4th position in the overall table with 65 medals, 22 goals. The states that won with 39 goals. And that's because they got the most goals. They managed to finish at top at the end of the day. So United States were the big winners out of this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed the games, Charlie. From what I'm able to watch, I enjoyed the games. Obviously, now it's only 6 months now, I believe, Charlie, until the Winter Olympics in Beijing. Very controversial one because it's been held in China, the home of the genocides. Really, if you've been that kind to them or that nasty of them. But Beijing's used to hosting the Olympics 2008, I believe, Charlie.
Yeah.
They're going to be hosting the 2022 Winter Games. Not China's not. I wouldn't know China's a very cold country, and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to it. And although there will be a lot of controversy around the games, I think, especially with potential boycotts and everything like that, possibly happening and wanting to happen.
Yeah.
As you know.
I mean, Zach, just whilst I'm here, I've got the medal table up, and after the games, it's the United States are topping the medal table, 113 medals secured for them. 88 for People's Republic of China in second. Japan was third with 58. Great Britain was in fourth with 65. But by the way, this does go on gold medals that have been won. So actually, America pipped China by 1. Japan were third with 27. And we came fourth with 22, which actually, I believe it or not, equals the same medal count we had from London 2012, which was absolutely amazing.
Just behind Rio. Just behind Rio in terms of medals we got. But we equaled London 2012, and that's a good thing. I think that's a good achievement for the Brits overall.
Yeah, it is. And of course, the Olympic Games will move on to Paris in 2024. So we'll see the Summer Olympic Games. We'll see you in Paris. However, though, Tokyo isn't finished because the Paralympic Games start 2 weeks on Tuesday. We'll be keeping you updated with the Paralympic Games as well, because we've got so much to talk about with that as well. But we're going to move on now from the Olympics, but staying on Sports Round now to a new sport that we'll be covering in the Sports Round, football. I know a lot of people love football out there. Leicester winning the Community Shield, beating Manchester City 1-0. Zach, what do you make of Leicester's performance in the Community Shield?
As you can tell, I'm a Leicester City fan. I was pleased. I was pleased, very happy, because that means Leicester now won the FA Cup, the Premier League, and the Community Shield all in one go. You know, who would have thought that? Who would have thought that, say, 10 years ago, that Leicester City would pick up 3 trophies? They picked up more than Tottenham Hotspur in their time. That would probably dig at a certain someone there. But I know the Man City team was pretty weakened, to be fair. They pretty much ran a second-class team, really. And it showed, really, because they did a second-class job. Jack Grealish, who's obviously 100 million, who got bought this week, didn't come on until the second half. He came off the bench. A lot of potential, obviously, in Jack Grealish as a player. Clear by his performance, you can clearly tell from his performance from the Euros that he's a very expensive item. But he obviously wasn't at his full potential yesterday. Next Sunday it will be the main game, because City are playing on the Sunday next week, when the Premier League starts on Friday. I'm looking forward to the season starting the game. Let's just say that. So Spain against Spurs on the Sunday 15th, and it all kicks off Brentford v Arsenal on the 13th on Sky Sports. So not long now, Charlie. I'm certainly looking forward to it. We're missing a lot of football. Almost like it's never been off our screens. So bring it on. Yeah,
Friday. I think it's Brentford Arsenal, the first match. I'm not in.
Yeah, Brentford Arsenal. That's correct.
Forgot about the Premier League. Yeah, we will be covering scores next week. We've got Super Saturday action as well. Super Sunday action. The Premier League returns. I don't know if the EFL have actually started there.
The EFL started Friday, I believe. They had a full match on Saturday, and they've had a couple of matches today, actually. So let's actually bring you up. I'll bring you up to speed on that, Charlie, on terms of that one, because I think it's important to show for the EFL up on here. So let's go for yesterday's scores, actually. All the scores.
We'll do the championship.
Bournemouth, West Brom 2-2. And then yesterday's games were Derby 1-0 to Huddersfield, 2-1 Blackburn, Luton Peterborough ended up with a 3-0 win for Luton. Bristol and Blackpool ended up with a 1-0 draw. Cardiff and Barnsley ended up with a 1-0 draw. 3-2 for Stoke, QPR Mill 1-1. It was, I believe as well, Charlie, a 4-1 victory for Hull, newly promoted Hull. Sheffield United returned to the Championship with 1-0 loss to Birmingham. Fulham Middlesbrough today's results 1-1, and Coventry and Nottingham Forest in it's 2-1 result there as well. And can't really determine what's happened, but Hull have ended up on top already. It's only one match day. You can't really, there's not a representative of what will happen after, say, 10 games or something, Charlie. But Hull were the first leaders of the season after the first end of the first round.
Bit disappointed for Sheffield United, given they didn't have a very good season last year in the Premier League. They got rid of their manager. He resigned. But yeah, all we can say is the Premier League starts next week, and I'm sure many people will be returning to the football stadiums. We'll keep you updated on that news regarding vaccine passports, whether you'll need them for a football match. Let's hope not, because we want people to go and enjoy the football. But moving on from that now, and we're going to go on to Formula One. This is what we're going to be covering on the show, motorsport-wise, Formula One news. We're going to bring you up to speed with that now. And Zach, I want to start with the Dutch Grand Prix, because there's been a little bit of uncertainty around this event due to COVID restrictions in Netherlands being announced on spectator events. Do you still see the event going ahead this year, potentially?
Yeah, I do. I honestly do, Charlie, if you're asking me. The Dutch, I think from what I read from the organisers, they are planning to host a 105,000 capacity crowd each day. That's their plan. There will be a statement on this coming Friday where they will be able to have fans, but it looks like there will be a Grand Prix, at least, Charlie, even if it doesn't mean the fans. And I'll tell you something, Charlie, if the Dutch Grand Prix does go ahead with fans, what a sight it will be to see. There will be an absolute army of orange T-shirts and shirts because Max Verstappen is coming home. Oh, wow. Sorry, I'm just watching the cricket. That was what a catch. But nevertheless, Charlie, I'm looking at the Dutch Grand Prix Zandvoort. It's going to be a good one, I think, if they do get the fans back. And I really want to see the fans there, actually, because it looks amazing.
I really want to see the Dutch Grand Prix back this year. Max Verstappen's got a big fan base of the Orange Army. I really hope that the event goes ahead. So that is the Dutch Grand Prix. But we're going to stay on F1 now, because I want to talk about Eau Rouge in Spa, because there has been a lot of questions on YouTube about should this corner be changed, given that we've had a fatal crash with Antoine Hubert in 2019, and also just last week we had a huge crash in the Spa 24 hours involving Jack Aitken. Now, if you get it wrong at Eau Rouge or Raidillon, you hit the barriers and you land in the middle of the track. Literally, you are a passenger.
Yeah.
And there has been a lot of talk. Callum Ilott, one of the drivers, posted on Twitter the other day saying there should be changes to the corner. Zach, what is your opinion on Eau Rouge? Do you think that corner should be changed, or do you think it should be kept in its original form?
No, I don't think it needs to be changed. It's an iconic corner. There've been some very bad crashes in the past, and yet that's not required a corner change, Charlie. I think it's just the risk of trying to go there. It's a very iconic corner because you go leftwards, then upwards, then rightwards, then left again at full speed, and that's the risk you take. Unfortunately, if you make a mistake there, it'll be quite a costly one in terms of accident. And obviously, it's a bit blind as you go up if you get another car spinning or something like that. But I think that's part of the risk, Charlie. I don't think if you do what you did like in, 94, where you start to put chicanes in, it kind of ruins the circuit a little bit. I understand there was circumstances at the time. He obviously had Ayrton Senna's crash similar. I don't think it's necessary now. Safety's involved clinically, individually as well. I don't think starting changing the corners of the tracks, it's the way to be doing it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the corner itself is very fast, but I have to say, for my personal opinion, I do think Oru should be kept unchanged. But if they have to change it, they have to change it in the future. Because if you think about it, it is a very dangerous corner if you get it wrong, as Kevin Magnussen demonstrated, I think, back in 2016 with he in the Renault suffering a huge crash. You can get it wrong there if you're not careful. That is a 185-mile-an-hour corner. You have to be so precise with the way you turn in through that. And if you get it wrong, you're done. It could end up crashing. It's that quick. And it's the runoff's little. So you have to be careful. But guys, please comment down below. I'm live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for the Charlie Tyle Show. What do you think about Orange? Do you think the corners should be changed? Let me know down in the comments. Now, also, turning our attention to other motorsport events, we have the Music City Grand Prix and IndyCar, which will be taking place later on as well. And also NASCAR heading to Watkins Glen. And Zach, what's the latest on those two sports at the moment?
Let's see. Now, there's been a couple of incidents already. I think the race is still on. There's been a couple of incidents already. Brad Keselowski spun from the lead as well, the two-car. He spun from the lead at the end of stage one. So it ended up Joe Logano winning stage one at the moment. So, yeah, I can't remember. Who was on pole? I need to look through who was on pole and stuff like that. I think... I can't remember. But, yeah, it's still ongoing at the moment. And I believe... let's get the live leaderboard update here. Logano is in the lead at the moment. Here we go. Yeah, Logano's in the lead. Oh no, Truex is in the lead. Sorry, it's just changed as I speak. So, Truex is in the lead. Briscoe is second. Stenhouse is third. Harvick is fourth. Bell is fifth. DiBenedetto is sixth. Chastain seventh. Cole Custer eighth. Eric Harmon ninth. Bubba Wallace is 10th. Charlie, that is the moment at 26 laps. And six laps into stage two. That is the situation at the moment.
So that's NASCAR Go Bowling at the Glen. First back race for NASCAR. First back NASCAR race back since the Olympic break in America. IndyCar also go to Nashville for the first time for the Music City Grand Prix. And I have to say, Romain Grosjean, I think, got fifth on the grid or something. I read that.
He did get fifth, I think it was. Which was impressive. Very impressive. I saw a bit of qualifying yesterday, actually. Jimmy Johnson crashed out. A couple of minutes into qualifying and called a red flag. But the grids today, I will get that up now, actually. It's Colton Herta to take pole as well. Joseph Newgarden, who's very local to Nashville, actually crashed and started 12th. Let's go through the standing. Here we go. So it's sixth for Grosjean. Fast six. Dixon behind in second. Palou third. Rossi fourth. Rosequist fifth as well. And then Jack Harvey seventh. Paginard Award. Hinchcliffe, Will Pound, Newgarden behind. As I said, Johnson. I did correct, right? Johnson did crash in the first group, rather unfortunately. But yeah, the national circuit is a bit of a interesting circuit, Charlie, because it's got some it's a bit like Baku in some ways. You've got some very fast straights. You go over a bridge and the asphalt changes as well. The tarmac changes as well from asphalt to bricks as well, tarmac and stuff like that. So there's an asphalt change as well to this as well.
Yeah.
It's very interesting circuit, Charlie. It's a very interesting circuit. That's on, I believe, later today. I think this evening, Charlie. I think.
Yeah.
Well. I think
5:30 Eastern time in America.
5:30. Yeah, that's correct.
So that'll probably be about 10:30 over here in the UK. Probably maybe later. It's about an hour's time, hour and 45 minutes, less than that from now in Nashville. It's gonna be a big event. This one. I don't know who to put my money on to win, but we'll wait and see. The IndyCar action is certainly hotting up as we speak, with going to Nashville, and we'll keep you updated on the winner on my social media podcast as well. Please, guys, keep up to date with all the latest news. It's really, really important. Now, we're going to move on now to the viewpoint, and a very important viewpoint this week, because I want to talk about Harry and Meghan this week, because there's been some big news coming out from Harry and Meghan about some big news about them parting ways with the royal family. Harry has been over here as well launching new books. But my viewpoint question tonight is this: are Harry and Meghan respectful to our royal family? Do they treat the royal family with respect? And Zach, what's your view on this?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Meghan and Harry are not your traditional royal family members, if we're going to be kind. In well and truly, Charlie, they're what can I say in this way? They're right. I think they do things differently, and it's not always appreciated. Sometimes they have got in their controversies, they've got into their wildness. I mean, I think they're sort of over abused by the press sometimes, and particularly by a load of men who don't even know what they're talking about. But I don't mind them, Charlie. I don't see. Okay, sometimes they do some interesting things that I don't agree about, but I suppose Meghan reminds me of Diana in some ways. She's the odd one out, but she's enjoyable. I like her, and I don't mind saying that. And I don't mind her. She's alright.
I think. Well, I'll start with my views, Zach, because I think Meghan and Harry are disrespectful to our royal family. I'm going to say this now because I think when you look at the interview earlier this year with Oprah Winfrey, there was, and I'm going to agree with Piers Morgan on this. That interview was 2 hours of tarnish and trash. It was 2 hours of Meghan talking about her mental health problems. She was basically trying to talk about her. I understand she has mental health problems, but the way she then mentioned about Archie's skin colour was a bit crazy. And
it might be true though. That's the thing though, Charlie. It might well be true, and that's not good. That's pretty bad. In fact, it's racist in some terms.
I think the thing is, though, I mean, to say that in an interview and then to make remarks about our royal family like that, I think is a bit disrespectful. I mean, Prince William is one of our strongest men in the country. He's a prince. Okay, I don't want to be hearing that comment about Archie's skin colour. That Meghan found out about it. It's very complicated to go into, but it's then that they're also then planning to cover up on the Diana statue as well. I'm sorry, but Meghan and Harry, the way they've treated the royal family over these last few months has been very diabolical indeed. I mean, I know they're not royals anymore, but I think they should be, because we are a patriotic country. Harry and Meghan have escaped to the United States. I have to say, this reminds me of Madagascar escape to Africa, where they have gone. Madagascar Escape to Africa, the film, is where these animals get lost in Africa. They are lost. They don't know where they're going. This is what Meghan and Harry have gone. They've escaped to America. We could make a movie called Meghan and Harry Escape to America if everything was in proper context, because at the moment I do not think they treat our royal family with respect at all. And I have to say, I think the treatment they've done with Prince Charles and other members isn't great. I just have to say the interview with Oprah really highlighted Meghan Markle's uncharismatic humour in this model. Well, you can agree with me or not. Please comment down below, guys. I'd love to hear your opinions. Do you think Harry and Meghan are disrespectful to the royal family? I think they are. And Zach thinks they're not. So please, guys, comment down below. Zach, what do you make of this week's viewpoint?
Wow. It's going to be a fascinating one. It's a hot topic one. And it's going to rumble on for ages, I think. You know, the Harry and Meghan discussion certainly is.
Yeah. And as well as that, GB used an interview someone talking about Samantha Markle the other day as well. That I'm not going to get into that much because I think it will be a bit crazy indeed. But we're going to move on now from the Meghan and Harry debate to Charlie's good news, because I want to bring you some positivity this week. So let's start with the first good news story of the week right now. And that is going to be edible packaging, the beginning or the end for single-use plastic. Now, an edible alternative to plastic has won the Green Alley Award for Innovation in the Circular Economy. It's one of a number of viable alternatives to single-use packaging. Turning base metal into gold was the holy grail of medieval achievements, tantalizingly unachievable. So what would be the equivalent quest in the 21st century about turning the scourge of plastic waste into something careful, like soil, nature, and compost, or even edible stock, for such as likely alchemy? But it's here, and it's thanks to German startup Tracers. This female-led firm has devised a technique to turn agricultural waste to start, such as a starch or brewery residues, into a plastic films of coatings and rigid materials. Since the resultant materials are made entirely from plant residue, they're completely compostable, breaking down in 2 to 9 weeks, depending on their fitness. This means they can go straight to home or into the compost bin, or to be added to anaerobic digesters to help generate biogas. And they're even safe to eat as well, although they might leave some taste to be desired. And Tracer's co-founders, Dr. Annie Lamp, explains that they should be an environment for our oceans. They break down completely into CO2 and H2O, leaving no residues or animals can get in without effects. It's very, very interesting, this news story about edible packaging. Is this the beginning, the end for single-use plastic? I'm not sure on that one, if I'm honest with you. Also, in some technology news, Google have unveiled its Pixel 6 smartphone. Google has made it official that the next iteration of its Pixel smartphone, announcing the Pixel 6 yesterday with new images and information. The search giant posted a series of tweets and launched a website set the new handset would arrive in the autumn for the first time and be powered by Google-made chipset called Tensor rather than the off-shelf processor from Qualcomm like usual. In building a chipset in-house as Apple does for iPhones, Google will focus on optimizing for features that it thinks is important, such as imaging, AI, and machine learning. It didn't go into detail about how the chipset's power, but claimed it would be market-leading and produce the best quality photos and videos out of any Pixel device. Very interesting indeed. And the final news story is that McDonald's is bringing back its Monopoly promotion with a twist. So yes, McDonald's runs Monopoly usually in its stores, but it's back on the August the 25th, lasting for 6 weeks. But McDonald's customers will be able to grab game prizes from Old Kent Road to Mayfair on selected items for the chance to win millions of prizes. After being away for 2.5 years, McDonald's have introduced a slight twist for this year's promotion with 1,000 VIP cards up to grabs. Indeed, in a tweet, McDonald's said, "Let's try this again, shall we?" ? The Monopoly game at McDonald's is back on August the 25th with a completely new gold card. The new gold card will allow the recipient to claim a free medium meal from their local McDonald's restaurant every week. The promotion has been taking place in March this year, but was postponed due to coronavirus restrictions in place. The fast food chain has repurposed 200 million game pieces that had already been printed for next month, but will feature an incorrect expiry date as a result. So that is all of the good news this week, and we'll do that all again next week here on the show. And that is my good news this week. McDonald's, I think certainly the highlights, bringing Monopoly back to our food chain. Zach, what did you make of this week's good news?
I'm very interested in the McDonald's monopoly. I don't eat McDonald's anyway, but McDonald's has been very associated with Monopoly for quite a while, actually. That disappeared for a bit. So, yeah. I used to play Monopoly quite a lot. Obviously not at McDonald's, but I played it on my old consoles and on the board game edition as well. I haven't played it in ages. That's all I say.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting to say the least. And we'll keep you updated with Monopoly, McDonald's Monopoly launching later this month. It's going to be very interesting and we can't wait to see you there. But we're going to move on now to our final part of the show, Press Watch, because we've got two big news stories to talk about on Press Watch, both political. I want to start off in Australia again because, Zach, zero COVID policy in Australia is kicking new heights. And if you ask me, there has been plenty of news in Australia about COVID-19 lockdowns because Melbourne once again have gone back into another lockdown. And I have to say this, Zach, when is this madness going to end?
Yeah, well, 60% of the population, Charlie, is under lockdown at the moment. Would you believe it? The cases yesterday, I think, were another high. Well, they were highest in ages, let's just say that. 319 cases the other day. 319, sorry. A 7-day average of 300. The total cases is 36,330 overall, 936 deaths. But yeah, big problems in Australia, actually, Charlie. Big problems as well. In there, it's all because of the Delta variant, Charlie. Why is that the case? New South Wales, 262 cases the other day. That's the hotspot at the moment in terms of COVID cases. They've been asked in New South Wales, 362 people in hospital, 58 intensive care, 54 of those unvaccinated. Victoria, new 11 cases, under a 7-day lockdown. Queensland, 9 cases. They're doing unpartial lockdown, which are going to be restricted, which are going to be lifted partially on Sunday. Carring, 3-day lockdown. A report of a case of an unknown origin. Oh dear. States have applied the go hard, go early snap lockdown. The federal government suggested that. It's 70% need to be vaccinated. That would be required. So yeah.
Speaking of which, Zach, I think Australia is stepping up their vaccine rollout, as I've just heard from the Morrison government just the other day.
Yeah, clearly it needs to do better in that. That's one of their weaknesses. It will be good to see more people starting to get shots. And it's needed to have shots because it's necessary.
Yeah, in Australia, Scott Morrison has said that I think the rollout is starting to pick up pace with the Pfizer vaccine now being distributed to many more to many more areas. So we'll keep you an eye on that news. But I have to say, I mean, the situation again in Victoria, back in lockdown again. Oh my God, unbelievable. Daniel Andrews has handled this pandemic so terribly that I have to question why he's even still the Premier of Victoria. And I just have to say it is complete madness. And I think he should entirely resign. But this is what he had to say when he announced Victoria's 7-day snap lockdown 6. Here we go.
None of us want to be in a situation where we have to lock down again. But this Delta variant moves so fast that with even a handful of positive cases that can't be linked and that haven't been in isolation throughout their infectious period, there is no alternative for us but to listen to our public health experts, take their advice, and make the decision, the very difficult decision that my cabinet colleagues and I have just made on advice. And that is that Victoria will have to lock down again for 7 days from 8 p.m. tonight. 5 reasons to leave home, school closed, all the same reasons, all the same rules that we are well accustomed to, that we have used to our collective benefit, that we've used to crush outbreaks a number of times, even Delta outbreaks. But the fact of the matter is we have 8 cases, 6 reported this morning and 2 further cases on the board that will normally be reported tomorrow. And only 3 of those can be linked to a known outbreak. The rest we have to assume what they appear to be, mystery cases, where we don't know how they got it, we don't know who they've given it to or how many people they've given it to. Now, nothing I say today is meant as a criticism of anyone else across our country, but context is very important. I want to make it very clear, we only get one chance to act fast. We only get one chance to make difficult decisions that are the right decisions. I'd much prefer to wait 2 or 3 days. I'd much prefer that we didn't have to make this decision now. But my fear is that if we were to wait a few days, and the advice to me from the experts is that if we were to wait even just a few days, there's every chance that instead of being locked down for a week, this gets away from us and we are potentially locked down until we all get vaccinated. And that's months away.
Thank you there to Daniel Andrews there on giving a statement on the Victoria lockdown. I have to say again, Zach, Rowan Dean was on Nigel Farage's show the other day on GB News, and he criticised a lot of the state premiers' handling of the pandemic.
Well, it seems to be a consistent approach of what normally Australia's done. It's not great, obviously, to have lockdowns, but trouble is there's not much vaccination really, so they're left with little choice. And I think it's popular, really. Lockdowns are popular when necessary. Not all the time, obviously, but when necessary, it's popular, and it helps. It helps as well. And so I think people are so used to it. I think people like the approach that they're doing. So I think you'll probably find there's a certain amount of popularity that he has that actually don't mind it.
It's interesting. I have to say, I think the approach is all crazy. And I have to say, zero COVID, ever going to eradicate this virus. It's going to take months, if not years, to get rid of this virus. In fact, it's never going away. Australia have got to accept very soon to just learn to live with this virus, like we're doing here in the UK, which I have to say, we're coming out of it. Australia are heading in the wrong direction. That's all I can say about that. But moving on now to the second part of Press Watch tonight, America, once again, the United States of America is getting in battle between 2 governors, are getting in battle with President Biden over restrictions and mask mandates. And it's the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, and the Texas governor, Greg Abbott. And Zach, what do you make of these 2 governors' approach to the latest Delta outbreak?
Well, their approach is completely bonkers, Charlie. Their idea, Charlie, is to basically put no restrictions on. They ban mask mandates. They've banned vaccine passports. They've banned even local authorities considering making sure mask mandates are required. Some schools are defying this order because they want to do it in the name of public safety. I think in terms of, what's happened and everything, Charlie, I think in some ways, Charlie, I think it's total hypocrisy for the basically the governor of Florida to basically come out and say, "Oh, Biden needs to fix the stuff on the border." Florida is nowhere near the border of Mexico. It's a couple 100 miles away. It's nowhere near it, Charlie. It's a bit hypocritical for DeSantis to basically tell the Biden to do something with the virus when he's basically sitting on his arse doing absolutely nothing about it. He's the one that's not vaccinating his people. He's the one that's basically allowing Republicans to be unvaccinated and just spread the virus and putting people in his hospitals. His basically his state is the one that, you know, is the ones that want to have in the hospital. And so is Greg Abbott's Texas state. They don't care, Charlie. That's the thing. They don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say though, Zach. I mean, I think the cases in the US have been rising a little bit over the last week or so. There's been an increase in cases and hospitalizations and deaths, unfortunately, in the States. And I have to say, I mean, it's interesting, like, what's happening with, like, many states, like California have added some extra restrictions in as well. Is it clear that many states are actually using vaccine passports or mass testing mandates to get people back to work? Because I remember CNN just the other week fired 3 of its staff for entering the building whilst unvaccinated. And I feel that that's a bit crazy, to be honest.
Well, in fairness, Charlie, all big businesses in America, like Google, Facebook, Apple, many businesses, Walmart, are making sure every employee gets vaccinated or face testing, or even to the point where you're not allowed to come into the office. So, yeah, that's. I kind of agree with that decision actually to mandate them. I genuinely do. It's only the only really way, Charlie, to stop Delta variant spreading that much. And there's a lot of Republicans, those associated with Republicans and Republicans themselves, that are basically saying, "Oh, we don't want these mandates. We want our freedom," and then getting ill from the virus. I mean, you look at the Republican Ralph Norman, for example, who's on a lawsuit basically. Who's basically sued Nancy Pelosi for a mask mandate in House of Congress, and he ended up getting sick with COVID. So he's a bit of a hypocrite in that end. I just think the Republican Party, the public, the uneducated dumbos who have not got a clue what they're doing and just basically decide they want to kill their own base so that they own the libs or something like that. Well, I think they're owning themselves in totally the wrong way, Charlie.
Would you say that they're very... So you're saying they're sort of technically like Jair Bolsonaro, the Brazilian president, in a way?
Oh, yeah, they're the Jair Bolsonaros. They are, seriously. They are the Jair Bolsonaros. They literally are. They are... I can't tell the difference between Republicans and Jair Bolsonaro these days. Thick, uneducated, awful, don't even know a clue what they're doing. So, yeah, they don't. They have no idea what they're doing. They kill their own population for the sake of freedom.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at Brazil, you can clearly see a lot more people want Bolsonaro gone. And I think it's clear in America that the situation between governors is clearly heating up over mask mandates. But let me know, guys, down in the comments what you make of your mask mandates in America. Do you think that these governors should impose them, or do you think they shouldn't? Let me know, guys, down in the comments. But we're going to move on now to our final part of the show. The final part is, of course, GB News. Because, Zach, next week, we have a couple of new shows launching. And this week, Zach, GB News has come under a little bit of controversy, should I say, about the way it's been covering some news stories, particularly over the migrant crisis, coronavirus. But just in general, though, there's been a little bit of hypocrisy around Guto Harry's resignation. The station had a bit of a rocky start, but it seems to be getting fixed now. But, Zach, what do you make of the new appointment, Patrick Christie's coming into the lineup?
Another right-wing commentator, another poach from Talk Radio. They poached Mark Mcdonald from Talk Radio. They're going to poach Patrick Christie from Talk Radio. Obviously, Patrick Christie's a Conservative commentator. so another right winger appointed. He's doing the 9 to 12 show, replacing Colin Brazier, I believe. But it's going to be with Mercury on the 9 to 12 spot. And then obviously the Pier and Halligan are going 4 hours now from 12 to 4. And then Alex Phillips is on her own now from 4 to 6, which is a very interesting change. What happens to Colin Brazier? Obviously, he's covering Andrew Neil at the moment. I don't know if that's a full-time change and stuff like that. Very interesting if it is. But, yeah, I think that's an interesting one, Charlie.
Yeah, because Zach, I was going to come on to Andrew Neil in just a second about whether he was going to return, but the big change, and I have to say, Alex Phillips on her own, going to be presenting on her own. The big change was Simon McCoy moving from the afternoon slot to the breakfast slot with Kirsty Gallagher. What do you make of his appointment to the Great British Breakfast Show?
It's an interesting one, Charlie. I think he probably suited that show quite well, actually. I think he will be suited to that one, especially. He's sort of the morning person that everyone would want to go up to. So yeah, I think that's a all right change, actually. He's been suited to that show.
Yeah, because it's been like they've been debating on their back. There's this thing on kebabs for jabs, like giving things to young people about how to take vaccines. It's very interesting. Like I watched him on the show and actually thought he was really good. Him and Kirsty Gallagher formed a very good partnership on the Monday to Thursday slot. They really done well, and I think they really interacted with the listeners on that show very well. But it is a big change for him. But Zach, Andrew Neil is the big name because we haven't seen him since the end of June. He's been on this long summer break. I believe in France from tomorrow, people who are fully vaccinated can come over here without quarantine. Could you see him returning to GB News any soon, or do you think his time is up and he might leave?
No, he'll return. I think he's going to wait until September, basically, and then return. So yeah, I think he will return. It just happened. It depends on what happens. Now, question is, if he does return, what happens to Colin Brazier? It'll be interesting, that one.
I mean, Zach, as well, since Nigel Farage's show's launched, like, there's been a lot of guests on that show. Like, they haven't had a proper big political interview since Rishi Sunak was on it. And that was Andrew Neil who grilled the Chancellor. Do you expect GB News will have some big political interviews on some of their big shows, like Nigel Farage, for example?
All right. Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen much interviews. Big interviews, really, Charlie. I mean, you get the occasional minister and so go on there, but nothing major in terms of big interviews and everything like that.
I mean, you have Talking Pints.
Yeah, you have Talking Pints, yeah. Which is all right idea because Nigel Farage is good on the pints. I had a friend that was good on the drinking last night. I think we know who we're referring to, but I won't, Yeah,
we won't mention his name on there tonight.
But it's embarrassing enough it is, let's just say that. But yeah, I suppose, well, Farage is a decent presenter, even if I don't like his political views. Let's just say that. I suppose, well, the talking pipe bit seemed quite interesting because you see all the background changes to the screen as well. I find it very interesting. It's not my cup of tea of a show, though. Let's just say that.
I mean, Zach, podcast up. What do you make of GB News' coverage at the moment? Because Neil Oliver has been coming under some criticism for comments he made the other week about, he said he would cheerfully risk catching COVID-19 for the sake of freedom. What do you make to this comment he made just under a couple of weeks ago?
I'm sure he'll be changing mind if he ends up in hospital bed. That's what I think. Freedom is one thing. Getting deaf is another. It's a bit. I think it's a bit of a. He does come up with some really bizarre comments, and especially that one, was extremely bizarre, I think, Charlie.
The comments he's come out with, I've just got some comments here. He says, he put, we're in a version of abusive relationship with our leaders. Government should leave our kids alone. Lots of comments that I've just read up there. I mean, Zach, he's one of the most controversial journalists in the country, if not in Scotland. Do you think he's suited to news presenting, or do you think he's more suited to being on the coast?
Go back to coast. He's better specialist there, I think. I don't think you need to be lectured by him on COVID and freedoms.
Because, Zach, I mean, a lot of people have said, like, this week, with the way GB News have had, because he had Lawrence Fox on his show yesterday as well with the vaccine, it's clear that GB News is targeting a pure right-wing audience, bringing on right-wing guests. Do you think that that works best with the station in terms of diversifying opinions?
It only seems to work with Farage because he seems to bring in the audience, most of the audience. The rest of the rating seems a bit low, Charlie. Farage is the only one that's bringing in the audience, beating BBC in the Sky sometimes. So that's where I see it at the moment, Charlie, is that only Farage, with the name power he has, seems to bring in the audience. Nobody seems to care about the rest of them, even though they might come up with some really bizarre statements. Obviously, I think GB News just not only relying on TV views, but on social media clips as well, and YouTube views as well, and all that sort of clicks as well. So yeah, they're obviously trying to get to more online audience that would just see it anyway and just, put out the most controversial stuff. But yeah, there's clearly their audience is clearly right wing.
Yeah, I agree, and I have to say, when you look at the guests they've had on, Lawrence Fox, on the other day, Lawrence Fox has been on the station a lot, as well. You've got other guests as well. Like, I think the only one that they have that's different is Benjamin Butterworth on Dan Wootton's show on Monday, because he's an editor at the Iron newspaper.
Yeah.
What do you make of him being on the show? Do you think he changes the debate up a little bit?
Well, it provides balance, at least. If you had 3 right winnings, then you just be in an echo chamber otherwise, Charlie. I think, at least have some sort of balance to make sure the Ofcom rules are followed. So if it does include a lefty sometimes, then so be it.
Now, Zach, the last question I want to make before I finish is, what do you make of the political correction? And what do you make of Paul Embry, a former Labour MP, on that show?
It's interesting because he's one of these bizarre... It's a bizarre one because he's one of these trade unionists that's also pro-Brexit, and he sort of takes rightward sometimes. He's sort of a token lefty but has very, centre-right views and stuff like that. It's very interesting on that one. I suppose he doesn't, he sort of understands the environment a little bit in terms of who Labour should be targeting and how working class it is, because he's a working class man, I suppose. But yeah, he's a unique voice, I think, Charlie. He's a unique voice.
Yeah, you have to agree on that one. He's a unique voice. So yes, political correction will be on every Sunday between 10 and 12. Please tune in on GB News. It's a good show, I think, and it's really worth something to watch on the station. But that's it, guys, for the Charlie Tolhurst Show. I'll be back again next week for another edition of the show, bringing you the latest news wherever you are. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Take care and goodbye.